Do y'all remember a couple months ago when the huge and breaking news was releasing that Travis Hunter, aka the #1 overall recruit in the country, was decommitting from Florida State and signing with Jackson State? I think that's definitely got to be in the top 10 most controversial signing days of all time. It was also kind of ironic because 2 to 3 days before his signing, the head coach at Jackson State, aka Primetime, he said, "Just wait, we got something special up our sleeves." At the time, nobody knew what he was talking about because nobody even knew Travis Hunter was going to go to Jackson State. He was committed to Florida State for what was it, a year or two? It seemed like a done and closed deal, but as we know now, he went to Jackson State and shocked the world. But however, there was a lot of negatives being thrown around about the entire situation. One of those questions being, and it's going to be the question throughout the entire season of college football going into next year, is will going to Jackson State hurt him in the NFL draft? I mean this in the most respectful way possible. I'm all about going to these HBCUs. I think it was a great look, and he may be a trendsetter, but come on now, let's not lie to ourselves. Yo, Matt, what are you talking about? What do you mean, don't lie to yourself? Let's not try to act like Jackson State is on the category of the Alabamas, Ohio States, and the Georgias of the world. They don't have near the talent, they don't have near the coaching staff, and they don't have near the weightlifting facilities to even come close to competing, and the list goes on and on. You name it, almost anything at a Power 5 conference is better at Jackson State in the current moment. Whoa, hold on, before you try to kill me in the comment section, I want you to hear me out. Just because Jackson State isn't on the levels of some of the top Power 5 teams in the country, it doesn't mean they can't get there in 5 to 10 years. This whole HBCU movement, and when I think of HBCUs right now, I just think of Jackson State because of their head coach, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to have to be a snowball effect. Whenever you roll a snowball or you're trying to make a snowman, it starts out small and it's hard, but once it gets going, it makes it a little easier. That's how I see all this potentially unfolding with Jackson State, Deion Sanders, and the entire program. You can believe what you want, but me personally, I don't think going to Jackson State hurts his draft stock whatsoever. Another argument that's being brought up, and it is a fair point, is that he's not going to be playing on national television. I'm sure their games will be on here and there, but it's not going to be hyped up like an Alabama versus Texas game or any big game throughout the season like a Michigan, Ohio State, or a Texas, Oklahoma. You get the point. Here's why going to Jackson State doesn't really affect him, and it is different for every player. With him being the former #1 recruit and a 5-star recruit, and everybody already knows who he is, all eyes are already on him. It doesn't matter what school he goes to. On the contrary, we'd be having a completely different conversation if he was only a 2 or 3-star recruit that nobody even heard of. In that case and scenario, I wouldn't go to Jackson State because you wouldn't be getting the recognition you deserve. But since he already has the recognition and people are going to tune into the games just to watch him play, doesn't matter. Hold on. I know what you're probably sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, this is so random. Why are you making a Travis Hunter video out of the blue? There is something that went on, and it's currently going on with Travis Hunter that, 1, nobody has even noticed, and number 2, nobody's talking about. Most of your casual fans aren't really going to be able to keep up with them because, like I said, they're not going to talk about them too much on ESPN and SportsCenter, but for the NFL draft analysts and all those people, they will. Recently, Jackson State had their spring game, and I'm going to assume only about maybe 3% of you even knew it was going on. I can't blame you. It's a spring game. Nobody really cares, but I want you to listen to this. In only the first quarter, Travis Hunter had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. When it was all said and done for the game, he finished with 2 TDs and 2 interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a spring game where sometimes guys are barely even playing 2 quarters in total. What I love about this young man, and I can't get enough of him, is that he has that it factor. And everybody that knows sports, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He has it. And if you don't know what it is, I can't describe it to you. Travis Hunter is the definition of a true athlete. Put him anywhere on the football field and he's going to succeed. If you don't want to take my word for it, just look at his stats. Like I said, he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the spring game. For those of you that are saying, well, Matt, it's Jackson State, the competition isn't all there. I agree with you. The competition on that team and the competition Hunter's going to play all throughout the year, it's nothing compared to the SEC or even the NFL. The competition is weak there. Hopefully it does get better in the future. The scariest part about him, and I didn't watch the entire spring game, but I watched most of the highlights, is that I legitimately think he might be better at wide receiver than cornerback. His ball skills and footwork is amazing, so whenever he does play wide receiver those few times, he just makes it look easy. I do try to take into account he isn't playing the best competition, but still, I gotta give credit where it's due. I don't care if you're playing at the Boys and Girls Club. If you get 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns, I can't say nothing bad. He's only listed at 6'1", 165 on their spring roster, but he plays more like a 6'3", 6'4", 190. What stands out most to me about his game, and I don't see it in a lot of receivers, is his leaping ability to high point the football. Please do not take this out of context, but the way he jumps up and high points it, it reminds me of Randy Moss. Am I saying he's the next Randy Moss? No. And I don't even think he may be great enough to play wide receiver in the NFL. He could, but I think his best position is cornerback. That's as of right now, and even if he does rack up 25 receiving touchdowns this year, I'm not going to know how to feel about it because he didn't play great competition. My biggest takeaway from what I've already seen at Jackson State, all the film and everything, and I've been watching it closely, I'm not so sure if he wouldn't have went to an Alabama or a Georgia if he wouldn't have been one of the best players in college football going into next year. He's not going to be put in that conversation because he does play for Jackson State, but still, imagine the hype he'd be getting from those Alabama and Georgia fan bases. And it's not just those, it's any fan base. Imagine if he would have went to Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, or USC. There would be non-stop tweets about him every single day. I mean, there still is, but it would be a little more crazier. A little more crazier. Come on, Matt, that's not even a word. I had to shed some light on this. I just can't believe for the life of me how a dude has 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and nobody's talking about it. And it's not like he was a no-name or this was a fluke. He's been doing this since high school. Here's the last thing I'm going to say, and I'll leave you with this. Imagine if a player on Florida, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, any big-time school like that, imagine if they had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in a spring game. Do you think SportsCenter, ESPN, and people in general would be talking about it a little more? I think so. The bottom line is, and it's the harsh truth, Jackson State's not going to get a lot of attention, even with this kid on the team. I do want to make this clear. They was showing his plays on ESPN and SportsCenter, but I still don't think he was getting the hype he deserves. After the spring game, he was being interviewed, and I can't show you the clip, unfortunately, but all Hunter said was everybody's doubting him and saying there's no competition, but there is competition out here, and he's going to improve. What he was referring to is that a lot of scouts out there, they're saying, oh, if you go to Jackson State, you're not going to play good competition, therefore you're not going to get better. The phrase I'm going to bring up, and it correlates with this situation, is iron sharpens iron. If you're around successful and great people, therefore more than likely that's going to make you great and successful. On the flip side, if you're around bums and losers, you more than likely are going to be a bum and loser. That's where this narrative comes to. Hypothetically speaking, they're trying to apply that situation to Jackson State. I see what you're saying, and if you do believe that, it's hard for me to deny that, but I also don't think it's that big of a deal. Let me put it this way. If Tom Brady went to your elementary school and threw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns, are you going to say he only did that because the competition's not good? It doesn't make sense because he can do that in the NFL. That's what I'm trying to get to and what I'm trying to say with Hunter. I think he would thrive at any program. I love this kid's game. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed.